Sorry. Usually it's always in English. The slides are in English, but I was saying Toulouse, place of the cassoulet. Okay, go in French. So hello, Nicolas Fangeau. I work for Airbus. I work for Airbus and for infrastructure in Airbus, we use Tulip in Airbus for the infrastructure, but for our project. But not only. We have deployed an instance of Tulip, and I will tell you this story. I will tell you this successful story about this instance. I will increase the voice, level of the voice. So we have deployed an instance of Tulip since a little bit more than 1 year. And this instance for our needs. And after, we have increased a lot the number of users. And what is really interesting, and this is why I have my colleague from Airbus, Alain Bernard, which is here, is that this instance is now used by all Airbus kind of businesses, because in Airbus you have, yes, a department for business function like IT, like human resource and so on, but you have also, and mainly we build, sell aircraft, so you have departments that do engineering, and this is our main work, is not IT. So what is interesting with Tulip is now Tulip is used by people to do engineering on aircraft, and we'll tell you the story with Alain Bernard. So Alain Bernard can introduce itself.
Yes, so I'm Alain Bernard. I work for Flight Physics in Airbus since 5 years. I think a lot of people may know already me because I'm involved in the Eclipse community since 5 years also. And I will tell you how we have used the Tulip instance deployed by the department of Nicolas to our flight physics needs and how we have connected it to our workbenches.
So here it's a successful story about Tulip, but not for IT, it's really Tulip for end user, for business. So first of all, I just want to introduce very quickly Airbus, but I'm sure that you are already one of our consumer, one of business, because not really. You are a business. You have a consumer of people that buy, that are our consumer. So yourself, you are not one of our business or consumer because you don't buy our aircraft. Nobody have an Airbus at home, I think. But if you want one, is the right place because you have the Bourget at the same time. But you have already, most of you, I think all of you, took one day an aircraft, and normally it's more than half of the time it's an Airbus. So just a few key figures. It's a number of employees, and you don't have subcontractor, because if you are coming from Toulouse, you know that we have a lot of subcontractors working for Airbus in engineering, IT, and so on. The annual revenue also, but they increase a lot. And what I want to focus on is the backlog. Backlog is really interesting because the backlog is the number of years we have to deliver if we deliver at the same speed. So if we deliver at the same current speed that today, we have a backlog of 10 years. That means if you buy an aircraft now, you will have it in 10 years. And this is today, it can be seen as a high security for the company, but it's seen also as a high risk, because who will buy an aircraft now to get it in 10 years? It's very complex. You will never know for your company what will happen in 10 years. So this can be a risk also. And maybe our business, our customer will meet another company that is able to deliver now. So this is, we'll see that our story is about that, is how to deliver quicker, how we can do a ramp up in the company to deliver more and more aircraft quicker. To give you a good example, we moved to 600 aircraft next year to 720 this year. This year we want to move a little bit more than 720, and we want to reach approximately the 1000 in 90-20. 9,000 to 1,000 in a few years, before the 2020. We talk about aircraft, so imagine that how many aircraft we build per month. You can think that we currently build more than 2 aircraft per day. Because 360 days, we deliver 720 last year, so it's more than 2 aircraft per day. Imagine that is quite a lot, 2 aircraft. We don't talk about a car, yeah? So this story, this one is just to explain where we are based, because we are in Toulouse, and people from Toulouse think that Airbus is only about story about Toulouse. It's no more about Toulouse. It's no more a story about Toulouse. I have a part of my team in Bangalore, because we have an engineering center in Bangalore. I don't know for you, you also, you have a part of your team in Bangalore. So that means it's no more a story about Toulouse. We are a worldwide company, and we do the assembly of the aircraft in US and in China. And engineering in Bangalore, in Moscow, in US also. So it's no more French Toulousain company, I would like to say. And this is only about infrastructure, but it's just to give you a good overall of what we do in infrastructure. We support the whole company, and the figures that are quite interesting is the number, because we support Airbus employee, supplier, Airbus Group, our customer also. So that means at the end we support 370 people, us, our infrastructure. And here you don't have Airbus Defence and Space and Airbus Helicopter. But what you have to have a look to, it's the number that we support not only Airbus, but supplier and customer. And this is really important. We deliver system more and more to our supplier, service more and more to our supplier. So don't see Airbus only as a company that deliver aircraft, see Airbus also as a company that makes service with the aircraft, around the aircraft. Okay? And this is something that is changing a lot. Funny stuff, two funny stuff is this one, the number of network plugs that increase a lot also. And this one, it's on high performance computing. We have two high performance computers. When they have been released to Airbus, they were in the, I think, 10 rank of the top 500 computer. So now top 500 computer is really a huge competition. Now I think we are in the 100 or 200. And just for the history, they are on the parking. One is in the parking of Hamburg, of the manufacturing in Hamburg, and one is not in the parking, but is in a container that is inside us in Airbus, because it's a high-performance computing for HP in container. Okay, and when it's two different containers, but when you reach all together, we are much more better in the top 500. So because we do a lot of scientific computing, but this is the story of about Bernard. Why we do open source? If you look on internet, you will find a lot of interesting articles about Airbus and open source. One of them, and few of them, are about the infrastructure story. We have started the infrastructure story on open source 1 year ago, and this is quite interesting. It was we starting by a problem. A problem, it's a project. Not the project, the problem, huh? But we have something to resolve. We need to deliver a new application. We build a project for that, and we say from the project we will use open source software. From that we say why we use open source software. You know the usual story. Open source software, lower TCO cost, quicker implementation, better quality. One very important for us is reduce the dependency to the vendor. We want really to be able to say to a vendor one day, we don't want to use anymore your technology and to go to another company. We want to be free. Okay, and usually open source solutions are about interoperability and not vendor, because they are vendor locking in terms of technology. So this one is really important for us, and this is not no discussion. Big data today is only open source. There is no discussion about that. So this was the standard one, but our objective is this one. Our objective is to really get a new way of working, and it's improve the efficiency of the people by having new way of working. For that, we have defined four golden rules: transparency, collaboration, sharing, empowerment. I just want to focus on the last one, the empowerment. The empowerment is quite interesting. Empowerment means that you are able to take the decision you have to take. You will not rely on your managers that will rely on the manager, on the manager, on the manager. You have a mission. You are able to take yourself the decision to move to reach your goals. Okay? And this one is quite important because sometimes, and most of the time, it's a point of failure in project because you have a line of management, you have a line of decision, and even people that have a certain role and certain level of decision, they every time move the decision to the top, And this one is empowerment. About that, about the way of working and so on, I can recommend you a book from the CIO of Red Hat, called the Open Organization. I need to increase the speed. Just because I talk about articles, so just have a look to internet. I don't take this photo because it's in myself on side. So I will move here and you can have a look this to the one with the aircraft. I will talk about this story to start our story with Tulip. This story here, the last one. The last one is about a portal we have deployed. We had an issue. We want to open a portal for all the users to be able to create their incident themselves, to be able to have access to a knowledge base themselves, to open as a self-service to our end user. So it's a story about IT. It's how end users that have an issue can easily do as a self-service and resolve their issues themselves. For that, we say that we have compared the benchmark, the market, and so on. And we say that we'll do it in open source with a solution called Liferay. So we took this solution called Liferay, and we have developed on the top of that what they call portlets that are functionalities included in this portal. For that, we say we'll do it in a full open source way. So we use Eclipse for that, Liferay for the application, the full Apache stack with Tomcat, HTTPD, and so on, and finally for the OS, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Because we work differently in a very agile mode, we run the kickoff on the 1st of on January, and we done our first release 1 month after, and we opened to 400 users in March, and after from 400 to 4,000, it was approximately 1 month after, it was in April. And from April to June, every week, we deliver a new release. Every week, the 4,000 people give us the feedback, and in June, we open this solution to everyone. So in 2 weeks, we have opened to 4,000 to 100,000. And this is now not only working in Airbus, no, it's also working in Airbus helicopter. So it's coming back, it's coming to be a group-wide solution. When I talk about Tulip, and I use that as a good example, because for making a time slot for a release so short, you need to have a strong application lifecycle management solution. If you are not able to manage well your development cycle, even if it's agile, you are not able to make a so short cycle, especially when you are in phases like this here. So first one, very short to make the first release, 1 month. Second one here, this cycle, it's very short and every week. So every week you need to analyze the feedback, decide what you will deliver for the week after, and really when you have bug, you need to be able, from your push from your Git, to go back to the requirement and understand where the bug is. If you are not able to have this traceability, you will not be able to deliver so fast. And I will say, it's fast compared to what we deliver, no? Yes, okay, he's agree. He's agree. It was very fast compared to other projects we do. It was very, very quick, this project. And we have quite good results finally, because due to this cycle and the quality of the life cycle, of the management of the life cycle, here on the top, you can see that we have 20,000 pages seen per day. I think we are at 3.5 million, so since 1 year, because we have opened in June last year, and we have no bug. Really, no bug, no issue, never downtime. I don't know if you use it, but we never get any downtime. And what is interesting also, it's a upgrade, new delivery every month. It's only 1 hour. In 1 hour, we shut down the system, we deliver, we restart. And it's less than 1 hour, because in 1 hour, we have the delivery and the test. So I will move to the story about Tulip. Why an ALM application? Okay, we have seen just before that for us, what is important is to supervise the application lifecycle. So, but it's not only a tool for an application for the project manager, it's really for the whole project team. When I talk about project team, it's also the business, it's also our customer. Us, we provide the full access to Tulip to our business. They are able to monitor their requirements if they are still ongoing for the development and who is making the development. So we open it. There is a kind of transparency about that. And we use it, Tulip, from the beginning, from the first requirement to the retirement of the solution. So we manage not only the development cycle, we will manage also what we call the support, operation, and maintenance cycle. Okay? So all the run. Why we use Tulip also? Because we move to DevOps, and for us it was a very easy way to move to DevOps. We need a kind of core, and we have used Tulip for that. ensure the traceability. I've already talked about that. Avoid duplicate effort. When you have a team of developers in Bangalore and one in Toulouse, if they don't exchange very well together and there is no somewhere repository, duplicate exists. And usually they create bugs. Reduce the maintenance cost because quality is much better. See it here. And improve the collaboration between the team. So this is why at the beginning, when we start all this project, we say we need something for managing, for answering to all these questions. The second one, it's for us, and especially for the story of our customer, Alain Bernard, we need it in a self-service mode. And I will talk a little bit about that. For our customer internally, as I say, for example, Alain Bernard, I will not use only you as an example, but I have you in front. We need to have ALM in self-service. So that means that if they need a project in Tulip, they need to be able to have it in less than 24 hours. Okay? You want a project, you have it. And after, is what I explained here, it's easy to consume by your customer. Easy to consume, for us, is very important. It's a very easy interface. Very easy to make the request to have it. Not a long process, not entering, I don't know, you have a cost center code sometime, so not entering all of that to have your project. It's very easy. One click, they get it. To have the people that is the administrator of the project able to create new fields, to create workflow, all of that. It's not addressing us all the time, so it's autonomous. And our responsibility compared to our business is only the platform. We don't want to hear about our business. We want that our business is self-service, is able to do what they need, and they don't come back to us every 5 minutes to ask, we need that. And we enjoy that because we are quite lazy people. This is why we do IT. And is what I say, customer request a project, our only action is to create the project. After, finished. If there is issues, they can contact us, but we are not here to configure the project for them. We provide the support, you will see after, we provide document, but we are not here really for creating the project for us. So for example, here I just took a few screenshots, but it's the formula, the form, where our business asks the creation of a project. They click, and as I say, it's less than 24 hours after the project is created. And we have also automatic tools to create from repository automatically the project in Tulip. We have that also. So, and when they go here, they select the template. If it's agile, if it's waterfall, and so on, and the project is created with the right template. So why Tulip is open source? Clearly, we use the open source version. We have the support contract for Menaline, but we use the open source version. Why Tulip? Because we have a possibility of high level of configuration. Very high level of configuration is possible. An excellent user experience. This is clear. It's easy to use, and it will be more and more with the new version and the new user interface. Data segregation. So when we have one project, they don't see the data of the other one. With the fine-grained access, so we can provide dedicated right to each user. The Git is included to have the full traceability. Clearly, we don't provide Tulip as a Git repository to people. If someone wants a Git, it's not us. If someone wants a Tulip project to be able to do the whole traceability, yes, they can use the Git. We are not a Git repository, clearly. And we have common technology and infrastructure. Very easy to deploy. I will show you just after, but it's quite basic for us. So as I say about the open source, I use this one quite often because I'm a big fan of the Simpsons. And we are in this way. Okay, what do we do in Tulip? I will explain this famous graph here that nobody understands, which is very small. You can zoom it. For us, Tulip, how I can explain? We have automated the resolution of some case in Tulip. So we reuse Tulip with the workflow to automate action, and that have a kind of a decision tree for the people. I will explain that. This is a process to manage the workflow for the change note. So when the user want to change in one application, we have a process, so it's split here. It's not complex. Huh? It looks like, but it's not. It's very easy. So the user go to Tulip, create the request in Tulip, what we call a change note, and after there is a process to do a first evaluation, first quotation, estimation, technical estimation. If the user is happy with, after we go to a change board, the CCB. After, the user say, I do it, and the developer start, and after there is a validation. So this, and I do it, really, I'm quite happy that you don't see it and you don't understand, because it looks like very complex and very long. For the user, it's very easy, and it's not so long, but all of that, which looks like very complex, with Tulip, is very simple and user-oriented. You understand what I mean? So even with Tulip, something complex, you can make it very easy and understandable for an user. And this is good. We have more than 200 or 300 users that use this kind of workflow in Tulip. Collaborative knowledge base. Bon. Ouais, alors là, je me suis trompé. I done a mistake on the slide, but I sent you the wrong version. And I will move in this case. The infrastructure we have in Tulip, it's only virtual machine. Front end, we have 2 servers, 4 core, 16 Git, and they are Rails 6. I want just to explain something. On the 2 servers, we share NFS of 1 terabyte for the Git, and 1 NFS of 1 terabyte for the document. So we share 2 NFS on the server, and we have databases, 3 servers, 4 core, 16 Git, Rails 6, MariaDB and Galera for the replication between the database, because it's load balancing. So if we look like, it looks like this. Our end user go to a virtual IP address that's sent to the 2 servers that are HTTP server on PHP that are sent to the free server for load balancing that are used with MariaDB and Galera. And you have the, I'm not touching them, but you have the NFS that are linked to the 2 servers. So it's very easy, very classical, not complex to build. The result, the time required for the deployment, it was installation and configuration 15 days, and end user process and documentation 15 days. The second one, it's very important for us because it allows our end user to be self-service. So we provide the documentation that is enough for the end user to do not come back to us for any question. And the first one, it can be a lot compared to install a Tulip instance and click, and it can be done in 1 hour. It's much more for us because we have company constraint on the server. And it was very complex to deploy. So we have worked a lot with Enaline for that. It was very complex to deploy with our company constraint. So we have a good experience about that. After 1 year, without any promotion, so we never came in the company and make an advert about Tulip in Airbus. So it's really by the noise. So it's people that talk about it and come back to use it and ask us how to use it. So it was yesterday. So you have the number of projects and number of users. And this is the average of Python per day and across the world. So it's used across the world. It's not used only in Europe, in France, and so on. As I say, it is a worldwide company, Airbus. And what is quite interesting about that is we will open soon to our supplier externally. And we'll increase, I think, a lot the number of users due to that. You are quite, I know that you wait these things a long time. And it's finally, for me, the last one is the most important, is the customer that made the success of the solution, because it's really customers that talk together, and it's by talking to other people that they come to us and they ask. Very quickly, so the CCC is approved because it's an extract so from Piwik, a web analytic tooling, so you can see the number of pages, and from Tulip, the number of users and so on. Tulip, an empowerable LM. What I want to explain here, but I will show it maybe in a quick demonstration, and we have only 5 minutes, so I will go very quick. Very quick, I will not show it. It's about Tulip, it's the interoperability of Tulip. So we have talked about the Git and so on, but as Tulip have a webhook and also a RESTful interface, we have us linked Tulip since a long time, before NLE did it. We have linked to Mattermost. I don't know, I think you know Mattermost, Slack and so on. So we link into Mattermost to have coming back from Tulip and the Git from Tulip, all the information when data are pushed and so on. This is really important for us because, as I say, we have teams across the world and they need to see what's happened all the time. So we have done that since a long time now. How it was a success? No, this is a good one. But I will go quicker. It's a collaboration tool in Tulip because you have all the documents that I can share. It's to be able to personalize the solution, as I say, the tracker and the dashboard. So this is really important. Interoperable with other solutions. We get people that have done a crazy thing with the RESTful interface. The performance. I think that today you have seen the number of users. Nobody complained about the performance. Reliable, because it's full redundant in our environment. It's quite reliable and easy to maintain and install. Today in maintenance, we just do one upgrade every approximately 1 to 2 months. It depends. It was 1 month during the last few months, but now we moved to 2 months. And it's very quick. So it's a huge success for us. And now.
So I will give you the voice of the customer. So as I said, I work for Flight Physics. So basically, very quickly, what is Flight Physics? It's a department of Airbus studying the impact of external physics on an aircraft. So basically, we have a row of 5 disciplines. For example, you may imagine what are the aerodynamics, the performance, so takeoff and landing constraint, as well as the range of the aircraft and so on. We have mass properties to calculate the weight of the aircraft with fuel, with passengers and so on. And to deliver application to these 5 departments, we have also another one, which is transverse, which is named Capabilities and Research, which I am part of. Which role is to, ensure that all applications used by these 5 disciplines are permanently available, running smoothly, and so on. So basically, in terms of figure, we have about 800 internal users inside Airbus, and about 2,050 applications to manage, which have really different constraints. So some of them are critical and embedded directly on the aircraft. Some others run computations that last about 1 second, and some others run computations that last about 3 or 4 weeks. So basically, we have really different constraints, and we were looking to have a bridge between this huge number of users and the small set of developers we have in capabilities team, and to have a way to unify the way our customers are today submitting issues and applications to the developers. Because since last year it was only done by email mainly, or Excel sheets and so on, so it was not industrial at all. And when Nicolas proposed us to move to Tulip, we enjoyed the fact that we can, in fact, customize the project we had opened in Tulip, provide a single tracker in Tulip for all our customers, and provide, in fact, customized field for our application without having to require modification on the Tulip server and so on. We were completely independent on that. Parallel to that, we have a strategy to unify end-user desktop application under the Eclipse framework. That will be another story, but it was also interesting to see how we can connect the end-user workbenches to the system tracking tool, and also to connect also this tool as the development environment, which is also Eclipse. If you develop Eclipse plugin, you do it in Eclipse, obviously. So for the user part, we have in fact used the Eclipse automated error reporting, which is deployed since the Mars version of Eclipse. And since the Neon version, you can customize the automated error reporting of Eclipse to build your own, in fact, error reporting. So basically, we made a watcher, and we made an extension to this plugin, and very quickly, If I have a workspace of an end user, I will launch a fake error, basically, because our Barbage doesn't have error, so I have to make a stub. And the automated error reporting of Eclipse says the user that there is an error. So basically, he can view the details of its error. So basically, the user doesn't care about the detail because the preview generated by Eclipse automatically gives the full stack trace and also the list of bundles that are activated in the current Eclipse instance. So as a developer, you will have all information needed. And as a command, the user can put comment. And he can also select a severity. So for example, this one is critical, obviously. And the comment is self-explainable. And then they will click on send button. And here, the connection to Tulip will be completely transparent to the user and the artifact will be submitted to Tulip. And there will be a message displayed here about the fact that it has been displayed in Tulip. And it's not a fake demo. So if I click on the link, it will open the Tulip server inside Airbus if the connection works well. Otherwise, I have the IT manager. And then I have directly the Tulip item open with all the fields. So here you can see the Java stack trace generated by Eclipse and so on, and the comment from the user here. So basically, with the REST API and the fact that Tulip is completely open, we could, in fact, branch our Eclipse and directly to Tulip in a few lines of code. Basically, it was very simple.
And here, what is missing, it's just to give to Alain Bernard more work, is to have Mattermost connected, and that all your teams know in the room that there is a new bug created,
yeah,
and know that they have to analyze.
So, but in fact, with the system notification of Tulip, the mail are directly sent also.
Mail, it's
yes. And for the developer part, so it's also a power of open source. So there was an Eclipse plugin developed to manage the link with Tulip and to display the tasks available in Tulip in Eclipse, which was broken in the earlier version of Eclipse, but someone in the open source world takes the lead on that and deployed a new version and updated version. So we also embedded it inside the developer workspaces. And as a developer, you can see, in fact, the list of items that are currently open in the Tulip concerning automated error generated by the user workbench. And if you click on it, you will have directly in the workbench the Tulip item directly reproduced and all the information needed, and it can even update it directly from the workbench, and it will update the Tulip server of Airbus. And afterwards, you can connect it to all the mailing stuff inside Eclipse, so I will not dig into, but it's possibility offered by such an open source and open tool. We can connect it to other applications, and you can provide a single entry point for your customer and also your developers. So we finished.
For us, the key success, of this story is to use open source, because it's a key success. Just for example, what I say Alain as a voice of the customer is that they are able to do what they do because Tulip is open, because Tulip use standard, RESTful interface and so on. And I want to say that because us also internally, we don't put any lock on the application, and this is important. Moving on that, involve the customer. So we have involved Alain Bernard, so it was our key reference customer. So we said to him at the beginning, we will work with you on this topic, but be careful, the solution, if there is any failure, we will help you, we will try to avoid the failure, but you will have some. Because clearly, we took him as the first customer to help us to build the solution. So take your customer to build your solution since the beginning, and explain to them that because they will help you, they will support you, they will have better solution, but at the opposite, during this phase of you build a solution with them, they will have failure. Or you can be very, very good without no failure. This is what we have done. But lot of communication and exchange with the end user. After, when you enter in services, work a lot with your end user, give the support you need. but really you give the support needed, but as a self-service. At the size of Airbus, for example, I'm not able to answer to all the users that want to add a field in Tulip. If I have to do that, I will need to employ a team of 10 people. It's not possible. So it's really people have to teach themselves, to learn themselves. So us, we propose training to our user. We propose things like this to help them to be able to be autonomous and self-service. And that's all. We are on time? No.
More or less. Thank you.
Okay.
If you have questions, don't hesitate. You can ask.
I have a quick question, sorry. Did you have a legacy ALM tool, and did you have any problems migrating data, or did you...
Oh, it's a good question. It's a good question because Tulip is used since a long time ago in Airbus, but it was not in an industrial mode. So they have installed it on a quick and dirty mode somewhere. And now they have seen our instance that is industrialized. And they say to industrial, we are an industrialized instance, so really they have seen our instance, which is quite robust on a robust infrastructure and so on, these people. And they said to us, could you take our old instance, completely obsolete, and migrate it to the new one? So for that, we took their instance, we have to migrate to the new version, to be as the same one like us, to be able to migrate their project to our instances. After, we use other solution as a application lifecycle manager in Airbus, one from a company with 2 letters. I let you think what is the name of this company, but 2-letter name company. We have a big success in Tulip, and I know that there is less success in the other solution. And it's not due to the solution, it's because the other solution do not allow self-service. In the other solution, project is like this, field are like this, and you have to take it like it is. And no, because people like Alain Bernard, when you work in flight dynamics and when you work, for example, in a project in human resource, your fields for managing your project are not the same. And in parallel also, we talk about agile, we talk about different methods, we talk about Scrum, no, we talk about DevOps philosophy. But everyone has his own project methods. Everyone. I've never seen someone applying Scrum like this all the time as the same way. Every project manager has his own method. It will be inspired by Scrum, it will be inspired by different methods, but you create your project management method with your experience. And that, it's an issue because if the constraint is coming from the tool and say to you, you have to go like this, how you want to reuse your experience that you know that somewhere like this, you need to move a little bit like that because it's much better. No, it's not possible, the tool say like this. In Tulip, you are able. You are able to create your workflow, you are able to create, to customize, to configure the application, to make your own project management, to improve. And this is really important. And this is the difference between the other solution, and I know that this is why Tulip have so huge success.
And also to complement the answer, in Flight Physics we had a shadow IT Redmine instance, and we are currently migrating from Redmine to Tulip. And because
yes.
We can export the Redmine database and re-import artifacts in Tulip using the REST API and so on, it's just a matter of connecting.
Yes, I found crazy people that have created a tool in Python to migrate. So it was from another solution, I think, from another big company, which is with 3 letters, this one.
Yes. So
it's just for your brain to search. And they have created a tool to migrate the data from the old previous solution to the new one, and me, I was not aware. And I would like to say that I don't care, they do what they want. We provide a project, they have to migrate the data, they migrate it. I was really happy to do not be involved. Really, as I say, I'm IT, I'm lazy. So if I have to help each people to want to migrate that, you have seen the number of people who are in Airbus, I will need a team so big that is not possible. And I'm not an expert on all of that. Yes.
How often do you update
Is what I say. At the beginning, we are doing it every month, and now we move to every 2 months. It's not too complex, but it's just that we have really plenty of work to do.
And you are late.
You understand? I say it enough, but no, it's just that we have too many things to do. and too many applications to manage. So if we migrate and we have to migrate it first in the validation environment to test the project, to validate that it's fine, and after we can migrate to production. We have 300 projects approximately. You have seen the number of users. If we do it in production, we crash. Alain Bernard will be not happy. Yes, this and after you. Yes.
Two related questions. What's your estimation of the TCO of this solution, and then how do you build the project? How do you do it?
I have a CIO that asked me not to make only business case, so I will hate your question. We have not done business case for this solution. Don't record. We have not done business case, clearly. Why? Because we move from the, and this is the truth because you have the right person close to you. We move from the open source version, and really we use it at the beginning, and very quickly I've contacted Enaline. And very quickly we move and we pay with Enaline support and so on. And now we are looking to move to really matching our expectation in terms of support and so on. Since a long time, since the beginning, we say try and look if there is a success. And after, we know that the TCO is quite good because, as I say, it's self-service. The TCO, if I look and I see to you what is the cost for me, it's really low compared to the solution with the 2 letter.
Do you build your project currently, or are you expecting to build your to ask for some money for using the tools for the project? Or maybe
So
it's
no.
financed by the company, by the group?
Yes. But to manage, it's quite different. We had some discussion, for example, with Enaline to implement new functionality and to look how we can fund that, especially, for example, for SAMML2, V2 authentication. We had this discussion, and I think we'll have it during lunchtime also. But what I want to say here, it's about a business case. We have not done a business case to say what is the cost of the current solution, what is the cost of Tulip. We moved to Tulip because it's open source, so first at the beginning it cost nothing to test it, and we say if there is a success, we can increase. And really what's happened in this story is we know that there is a lot of Tulip everywhere in Airbus. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
We have a lot.
I understand.
And instead of having 5 hacker of Shadow IT instances, it's much better to have one official, supported. It's less risk for the company because in any case, we know that people don't want the current proposed solution. And they will continue to use Tulip. In any case, Alain Bernard, as he said, they have a RENMine, which is a Shadow IT. And their RENMine, if they have an issue on it, I think you will have big trouble.
So, Alain Bernard, you are not paying anything to use Tulip?
At least it's transparent for me, and it's a big deal for us because traditionally, when you want to open a project on a dedicated legacy tool, you fill an Excel form and you already pay 10 kilo. So for what? And my project has to pay 10 kilo, and we have to do cost transfer, so it's a nightmare. Here, I just ask, and someone everywhere in Airbus, someone will take care to transfer budget from Flight Physics to Nicolas' department. But it's not.
It's fully transparent. I have no it's just that today we want a self-service mode and we want to provide service. We don't want that someone that wants a project for something fill in a big Excel sheet, send it, and what I say it's self-service oriented. It's it's just be user oriented, customer oriented. IT is here to support engineering, to support flight dynamic, to build better services for tomorrow for Airbus customer. If I slow down them, I slow down the business of Airbus. It's just bon sense. But I understand that it's very complex company, it's complex to do it. There is the last one, sorry.
Yes, another completely different question. It's about how you use how the team are using it, how they work in the agile team.
Yes.
Work practices.
They after I can talk about my team and Alain can talk about his team because me, as I say, when the project is created, after I don't know what people do with. So I just know that there is a lot of activity on the server. But my team, we are working on a plateau, so it's really agile mode on the plateau, where you have dev and ops on the same plateau. So it's multi because we have one ops and more dev, and the dev are also working on the server, so they have access as a root on the server. So it's very small. We were 25 to 30 last year. We have downgrade because the activity downgrade, so we are now approximately 10. 15 with the people in India, in Bangalore. But we work in Agile. And as I say, we do not follow Scrum or something else. We have recreated our method inside. And what is really important, talk about methods, but what is important, it's a support operation maintenance. Because for us, this is the most important. Because it's in Tulip that I can do the quotation of any change and that I will manage the finance part of the change. And as I will I will ask my business to pay me. It's through Tulip that I will do that. So don't think only about project management. Any more questions?
You can close it. Maybe. Last one.
Have teams adopted it that aren't software teams? That aren't running software projects?
Sorry, I don't.
So
you have teams and projects that have
Yes,
created their
yes.
projects. Are they all developing software? As Alan is developing software?
in my team, for example, we have people developing application, software. We have people managing portfolio of budget. We have people doing some other random things. Basically, we have people following quality cost inside Tulip just because the tracker kind of thing.
I know that there is people that have created a project on Tulip that are not IT people, and they use it not for IT program. I know that HR have a project in Tulip to follow an HR agile improvement project. You understand what I mean? It's just it's a big project where you have IT inside, but it's tasks that are not only IT related. It's task. So it's not only, and as I say, I don't know everything which is inside. I've only, I think, met on the number of projects, maybe 10, 15 people, 10, 15 projects. So it's not a lot if you look. All the other one, I know that they use, because I know that the ramp up, every time we create a project, we have a ramp up of the number of users and page seen. So I know that there is a ramp up.
So it could be a way of introducing agile processes to non-software teams.
Yes.
They've got this project holder and it keeps them an agile framework.
And why? Because people are able to configure themselves. They just say, I want to work in an agile mode for managing my human resource improvement project. It's not Scrum, it's their own method.
If there is still question, we can follow it at the lunch. And so enjoy the lunch and thank you for your attention.